Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront updates. After the reveal there has been a lot of mixed feelings since DICE announced that some stuff that was in the old games is not in the new game, and that has stirred up quite a lot of feelings and discussions among the fans. Some people are being overly negative even without having seen any gameplay whatsoever, so I thought that in this video I will address all of your concerns, as that has been one of the most frequent suggestions in my last couple of videos. I would love to go into detail with all of these features, but I'm gonna try to keep it short in this video so that I can talk about pretty much all of the concerns that you have. Let's start off by saying that this is yet again not Star Wars Battlefront 3, but a reboot of the franchise, so you cannot expect everything from the old games to be in the new one. I think the biggest issue here is that they are confirming that multiple features from the old games are not in the new game, but they have yet to reveal the new stuff that are in the game to make up for the removed stuff. I'm not sure why they are doing this, but I can understand the initial frustration about it. They have still kept a lot of things in the game that I didn't expect to be in it. So far we know that heroes and villains, split screen, offline gameplay, co-op, bots, third-person switch and a few more things will be in the game from the old games, which is more than I expected, to be honest. As mentioned earlier, I have seen a pre-alpha build of the game, but I cannot reveal any details about it, so this might be one reason to why I'm not as concerned as some people in the community are. So let's get started. The game will only have 4 planets and Battlefront 2 had 18. When I first heard this I was kind of disappointed as well, but after thinking about it a bit more and seeing what Niklas, the design director, had to say, it made me a lot more positive towards this decision. First off, we should honestly count in the DLC as a planet, as that is a free DLC for everyone, so that's as much as part of the game as anything else. And Niklas confirmed that there will be more than 2 maps per planet, which leaves us with at least 15 maps. And that's the minimum if we are to believe what he's saying. This is a very good number that I would be perfectly happy with. But I also hear your concern about the environments not being very diverse when there's multiple maps on the same planet. To this, Niklas said, "We're going to take you places you have never been before." And just doing some quick googling reveals that planets like Endor have mountains, lakes and even deserts on top of their lush forests and imperial bunkers. So this means that there's a good chance we'll get a huge variety of environments within the actual planets. And if that is true, I actually prefer that, because I would much rather see new environments on these classic planets than see one map on each planet with the environments that we have already seen in the old games. Space battles. This is one of the biggest concerns I've heard so far, and I really don't see why people see this as such a game-breaking thing. Because face it, judging from the last few seconds of the trailer, the dogfighting that takes place on Sullust is the exact same thing as the space battles in the old games, just that it takes place at the surface instead. So it's only a matter of what background you will see outside of the map area. They could also add objectives to destroy on the ground to give the exact same effect as the ship engines and such in Battlefront 2. My personal preference is that I've always preferred the maps that had spaceships on the ground, as it added another element to the actual fight where you could get shot down from the air, but you can also shoot down the ships yourself. I do however understand that you might be looking for the whole feeling of being in space, and in that case I feel like it can't be too hard for DICE to simply remove the ground below the ships and add another background. That's pretty much all it takes to create a space map, at least I think so, but I'm not a pro on game development. The next concern, Clone Wars. This I agree with to some degree. I would really have loved to see it in the game, as it was my favorite era in the old games. However, for me this is a matter of how good the game actually turns out. If the game is really fun, has varied game modes and gameplay, and the core mechanics of the game are good, then I don't really mind which era that are in the game. If they make a rock solid game with only the Galactic Civil War, I will be perfectly happy with that, because it means they have so much more opportunities to build further on this franchise. Galactic Conquest. This is a game mode I pretty much never played in the old game, because I didn't really think it was that fun. I just like to get straight into the battle. It's also a design decision that I can to some degree understand why they did, because it's a pretty major mode and would require a lot of efforts to create, and if we get more multiplayer modes on things like that, I would value that a lot higher than the Galactic Conquest. Don't get me wrong though, if you are a big fan of the Galactic Conquest, I completely understand that you are disappointed, but it is a very unique mode that maybe wouldn't fit very well in the new game either, considering it's a reboot and not a sequel. Another concern is that the max player count is 40 players. This is another case where people are purely looking at the numbers and don't really think about what they mean. The 64 player maps in Battlefield are kind of chaotic, and many people like myself prefer to play on the 48 player servers as it's more controlled. And I truly don't see why 64 players on a server automatically is good, because you will never see all of those people at once anyways, so if the map is designed for 40 players, that gives the exact same effect as if you were to play on a 64 player map with 64 players. On top of that, keeping the player count at 40 means you can have better performance on the server, which I think is key, to be honest. Apparently there seems to be some maps that are made for only 8 players, which is something I think people are missing out on. I would be really happy to see some game modes focused on smaller maps with intense infantry combat between 2 small teams. That's definitely something the old games were missing. The campaign. I think this is a quite ridiculous argument used by some of the old Battlefront fans. The only thing the old games had was the normal multiplayer maps with a few simple objects added to them. They did show the storyline of the 501st Legion, but it was not an impressive campaign. Don't get me wrong though, I love to play through the 501st Legion storyline, but it was nothing impressive in terms of storytelling or objectives at all. And DICE has already revealed that they have crafted missions that you can play either solo, split screen or co-op online, which is something I'm really looking forward to. It actually sounds something like the old game's version of the campaign, but with the online element as well. I can admit though that I had really been looking forward to a story-heavy single-player campaign, but Battlefront is more of a multiplayer and co-op game, so I understand their decision about that. I'm quite sure that Visceral's Star Wars game will make up for that when it is revealed. Anyways, that was all the major concerns I wanted to address in this video. I do read all of the stuff you are saying, and trust me when I say that we bring up this stuff with the developers. And I'm very sure that they read your comments and tweets and everything like that as well. Just make sure to look at this as a reboot, and wait until you get to see gameplay and actually hear what else the game has to offer, because I'm sure that will change a lot of you guys' minds. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.